everyone, it's Sharona from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Netflix series, Jupiter's Legacy, which is currently streaming on the Netflix platform. The series is based on a comic book series created by Mark Miller. It stars Josh Duhamel, Ben Daniels, Leslie Bibb, as we center around the first generation of superheroes who have been protecting the world for nearly a century, and now their children must live up to their legacy in an epic drama that spans decades and navigates the dynamics of family, power, and loyalty. So, for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, hello, so glad you came, I hope you stay. I'll tell you what I liked about the series, what I didn't like about the series, and is it worth your time or not binging Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix this weekend? So going into one of the things that I really enjoy is the themes of the show. I love that we have this theme of family as we explore not only the first generation of superheroes, but also to their children, these new generation that are coming up, that we get to see how there are generational differences. I love how we explore as we go into the original formation of the Union, but how now, because things have changed, because villains have changed, the world has changed as a whole and become more dangerous, that now the code that these superheroes have lived by for far too long are not only being challenged by the general public, but challenged by the superheroes' children as well. I love how we get to explore. You'll hear a lot about the code. I love how we explore, and really both sides make really great points as to why some things that might have started good and may have been going great for the past 100 years, as we usher into a new world with new problems, with new sets of consequences for our heroes, you start to think to yourself like, I feel like the new generation might have a leg up on how they feel about the code. But I love that we get to explore this through multiple layers of not only seeing the first generation superheroes fight about this, but the children, but we get to see how public perception and also to the villains that they have to protect the world from alter how all of these heroes feel throughout the course of the film. I love that we also get to explore family dynamics. We see this the most through Josh Duhamel's character, Sheldon, and his interactions with his children, Chloe and Brandon, played by Elena Compuris, and also to Andrew Horton. I love that we get to see what happens for a person who has put the world before his own family, how that may cause a fracture into the family dynamic. I think that is really great that these heroes feel real. They get their behind beat. I was just like, are y'all superheroes or are you not? Because I never seen superheroes get beat up this much in a normal live action fashion. And I love that it feels that the issues that they're dealing with is a lot easier to relate to, because you don't have to have superpowers to have issues on politics, on how we handle punishment, on how we handle capitalism or family dynamics. This is something that everyone can relate to. And so that's why I feel more connected to these characters. But most importantly, one of the things that if you've watched me talk about any other superhero show, movie, I always talk about the treatment of women in these shows. And I really love the representation of women, that they are powerful, especially with Elena's character, Chloe, who just has some crazy out of this world powers, but also too with her mother, Lady Liberty, played by Leslie Bibb. I love that we have this comic book series where it doesn't have to be explained why women are badass, why they are so powerful. It just is, and they don't have to beat you over the head with it. And I love that we have this representation that not only women can still have their emotional capacities, but they can still show their outward strength as well. And that's what I really do appreciate with the depiction of women. Also too, what Anna Akana Reich, I think it's Raikou. I always say the character's name wrong, but I think it is Raikou. She is absolutely badass, so much that I wanted to have even more screen time with her. But one of the things that I also too want to point out is that we get to delve into serious topics of addiction, things that, you know, most humans would never imagine a superhero having to battle with. But as we really get to explore some of the generational differences and really the effects that it has had on their children, but not only too on the mistakes of the past from the first generation of the Union. And I think that one of the best parts of this series is actually getting to watch the original Union, how they go to get their powers, the emotional journeys that they went on throughout this process, but also to how that helps us understand them more in the present day as we're getting to see their interactions with their children, but also to see how the consequences of their choices of the past have made them the person that they are today. I do think that the best part of this series is focusing on those characters, on Walt by Ben Daniels, who's fantastic, on Sheldon, on George, on Grace, I think that for me, I felt a greater connection to the past flashbacks as we get to see how all of these people came to know one another, all of the journeys that they went on to get their powers. I think that's the strongest part of the series, which leads me to some of the issues that I do have with this series. So, it's a little confusing. There's a lot of flashbacks that happens as we get to see present day versus the past in the 20s. And I think that for me, because there's not enough world building that is established to help us really understand where we are present day, I wasn't able to enjoy those characters or to really have a grasp on how did we get to this point. I think, as I said, the strongest part is really watching the first generation of superheroes get to know one another. But also, too, because there's no world building, I don't understand the gravity of the problems that these heroes are facing in present day, as far as how these villains have become so powerful that they're able to sometimes murder or kill these superheroes. When the fractures of the group started to begin to happen, there's a lot of absent characters that we reference a lot, but we really don't get to see what happened. Why are they missing? Why are they gone? And I just feel like there's a lot of gaps and empty plot holes that we see in the series that really just makes it kind of difficult to pay attention. Honestly, when we had to go back to the future, when we had to go back to present day and really focus on the children, I was just like, I'm not really feeling this. Can we just do another flashback? Because that's what I was actually being entertained by. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some cool fight choreography. There's some fight sequences that do happen, but this plays more like a prequel. And I do believe that they combined the prequel and one of the first issues of this comic book series, which was my same issue that I had in Shadow and Bone. When you're really trying to combine two different stories into one, someone loses focus. And that will be the new generation of superheroes. They come and they go, and you don't really get to build any relationships except with a person by the name of Hutch, played by Ian Quinlan, who I really did enjoy his character. I wanted to learn even more backstory, just because you feel like there's a troubled past and an interesting story on how this character came to be, where we're first introduced to him in the series. But also, too, with Chloe, I wish we could have delved a little bit deeper into some of the emotional impacts that she had with her father being missing, in order for us to really understand where she is as how we find her in the beginning of the series. Now, also, too, I talk a lot about representation, especially in superhero genres like this, because most of the time we are underrepresented as minorities. But this is a key thing when I say, do not just check the box to check the box. So there's two characters, Petra and Fitz, played by Tanika Davis and Mike Wade. They're a father-daughter. Fitz is actually a part of the original, he's a part of the original First Generation Union. However, with their characters, you get to learn a little bit about Fitz's character more than Petra. And it just felt as though there's no point of changing the color of these people's skin from the comics to the actual TV series if you're not going to delve into those characters. And that's the representation, because I believe Ian's character, Hutch, also was white in the comics as well. But we got a little bit more screen time with Hutch. But whereas with Petra and Fitz, we really don't get to learn anything about them. Honestly, when I was talking to these the actors and interviewing them, I found out more about their characters than what was actually shown to me on screen. And if you're gonna have diversity, make sure that they have something to do, that you're not just checking the box to make sure you can say, hey, I have Black people, I have Asian people, I have Hispanic people. Just don't do it just to check a box. Actually give these people things to do in order to continue this forward movement of trying to have representation of different cultures in films and TV shows like Jupiter's Legacy. Other than that, I feel like Jupiter's Legacy kind of felt like a mixed bag to me. There were aspects of the series that I really did enjoy, as I said, going into the first generation of superheroes. However, it's not until the last 15 minutes that they had me sold on watching the season 2. And I don't want to say that that's to any fault of the actual actors that are involved in this TV series. I think that really has to do with the writing and the direction, and really trying to combine all of these two different issues, but also too, all of these characters into one. If you're only going to focus and give us backstory on the first generation of superheroes, then maybe some of these secondary new characters of the present generation in which the series takes place in, you probably should have left them out until the next season. Now, for me, as I was telling you, the last 15 minutes, that last episode, I was like, okay, All right, y'all did that. How that episode ended, some of the characters that were introduced, I was just like, why you couldn't do this the whole time? Like, this had me engaged. I was there. I was hooked. But I will tell you guys to give Jupiter's Legacy a try for yourself. Like I said, we always may disagree on things, but because of how the season ends up shaping up and because the first generation of the superheroes of the Union were so compelling enough for me to watch, I'm still going to tell you guys to take your time. Go ahead and binge it this weekend. You might have more fun than I did. However, how they set us up for a season 2, it seems like it's not going to disappoint in any ways whatsoever. But those are my thoughts on Jupiter's Legacy. As always, my name is Sharonda from Payroll Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again,